Hey guys, this is Sky from SkyTube and before I give you my review of James Gunn's Superman, please subscribe to SkyTube. The link is in the description. Now on to my review. Let me start by saying I really enjoyed watching Superman 2025. But having time to reflect, there are almost as many issues I have problems with as much as the parts I really enjoyed. Let me begin with the problems. The movie jumped right to a scene following Superman's defeat at the hands of two metal humans, the Engineer and Ultraman, who would be wearing a supersuit, disguised as the Hammer of Barovia. Now, before you search your comic collection for the Hammer of Barovia, let me tell you that this is an original character created by James Gunn. We never see this fight take place, but don't worry, you know Superman will eventually battle with the Engineer and Ultraman later in the movie. What we didn't get here is what we get in every other Superman reboot, a backstory, where a baby cow elf flees Krypton with the help of his loving parents and sent to Earth, where he is raised by his Earth parents, Jonathan and Martha Kent, often referred to as Pa and Ma Kent of Smallville, Kansas. After being dragged into the Fortress of Solitude by Krypto, Superman is nursed back to health by a number of Superman robots. This is where we are introduced to Superman's, or Kal-El's parents, Jor-El, played by Bradley Cooper, reuniting Rocket of Guardians of the Galaxy Rocket fame with Gunn, and Lara Lovan, played by Angie Sarifian. The Superman robots informed the audience how Superman enjoys listening to the voices of his parents, although the hologram was ruined and only half of the message is available. Spoiler alert coming up later regarding this message. Superman, having his power restored by the sun, but only at 85% of his strength, returns to fight the Hammer of Barovia, only to be defeated again. But rather than just destroying Superman when he has a chance, Lex Luthor, played surprisingly well by Nicholas Hoult, calls his super being back. I didn't understand why that Luthor could have possibly killed Superman at that point, but chose not to, because instead he has a more elaborate plan in store. This is where we meet the creepy, evil president of Barovia, which is your typical Eastern European aggressive, power-hungry country. Lex Luthor sells billions of dollars of weapons to this imaginary socialist country who somehow has a great relationship with the United States. Here is where I have more problems. During an exclusive interview with Lois Lane in her apartment, Clark Kent / Superman, she has an intimate relationship with, which we never get to see how it began, unfortunately for me, and for most fans who enjoy backstories, which this movie fails to give us. The two lovers argue about how Superman invaded Barovia, hoping to stop their invasion of their neighboring country, Jurassic, which for some reason is a defenseless and culturally diverse nation that has no army and apparently no vehicles or technology and only has a chain link fence to keep them safe from the military powerhouse Barovia. Here are some of my problems. James Gunn admitted this is a political movie supporting immigrants. However, the entire world, the US government, and even Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane, is upset with Superman for his actions that wasn't sanctioned by the United States. Before I tell you, I might add that the interview by Lois Lane of Superman was extremely powerful and passionate at the same time. Back to the issue of concern which Lois Lane is questioning Superman about, Lois Lane flat out accused Superman of, quote, illegally entering a country, end quote, which is a conflicting message with Gunn's intended political stance. And no one except Superman sees the dangers of a foreign nation invading their neighbor. I won't go too much into the details to spoil it of why Lex Luthor is personally financing Barovia's invasion. But I can't help myself. Why would a multi-billionaire like Luther want to be king of such a soiled country like Giant Purr? The plot could work if it was because Giant Purr was rich in precious metals or oil, but it looks like a third world nation. And in the end, Luther's hatred of Superman is basically because he's an alien who is loved by everyone, leaving Superman to explain he has feelings too. The political messaging in movies needs to stop, and studios needs to concentrate on good storytelling that follow the comics. Leave the politics at the door. Nobody cares what celebrities' politics views are, and it goes for any political view. Make movies fun again. Another gripe I have is that much of the overuse, over-the-top CGI use, especially with the climatic battle. CGI was an issue with many moviegoers regarding 2023's The Flash, which I agree with, but I actually enjoyed the Flash story. As for Superman 2025, too much was thrown at us in this movie that left moviegoers trying to catch up with the story. A minor gripe I had was Lex Luthor unleashes a monster who looks just like Experiment 626, aka Stitch, who grows to the size of a building, to distract Superman as Luthor searches for the Fortress of Solitude. I couldn't help but thinking about Stitch throughout the battle. My last gripe was with the Justice Gang, obviously the onset of the Justice League, which is already formed, and we have no idea how they came together without a backstory. On to what worked for me. Staying with the Justice Gang, I really liked the casting for the Green Lantern and Mr. Terrific, and they brought much to the movie, including the humor that James Gunn is famous for with the Guardian series. Again, my only problem is the oversaturation of characters without giving them a chance to develop as important characters other than being funny sidekicks in a supporting role. Along with Nathan Fillion and Ed Gardicki as being well cast, the engineer, played by Maria Gabriela de Faria, really worked as a supervillain controlled by Luthor. But easily the best cast and least probably used actor in the movie was Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane. Her character was perfect. She was confident, passionate, and not an over-the-top feminist as most female characters are written in movies today. Her competence as a top-notch reporter, and especially as Clark Kent / Superman's love interest, was not only believable, but very likable. Their chemistry worked. Onto the star, David Corenswet was a great Clark Kent, but his Superman was not on par, with me at least, with Christopher Lee, Henry Cavill, or even Tyler Hoechlin. But that's not to say he won't grow into the character, which I strongly believe you will. He already has the Clark Kent nailed, which I think is the most difficult of both characters to portray. But I really believe the next outing, Hoechlin will make Superman his own, and the fans will stop crying for Henry Cavill. There is so much I really loved about James Gunn's vision moving forward. I just would have appreciated more character development without trying to fit so much material in only 2 hours and 9 minutes. In closing, I really think they did Superman dirty. Huge spoiler alert. Lex Luthor uncovered the inaudible recording by Jal-El's parents who sent him to Earth, believing he could make a difference, but as the missing hologram revealed, they encouraged him to rule over Earth, to have a harem of women, to create a race of Kryptonian offspring, and to kill if necessary to rule over the weak human species. His parents come across more like General Zod than Jor-El and Laura. I understand this was needed to make Gunn's plot work in destroying the trust and administration Earth had with Superman that drove Lex Luthor even more psychotic than he already was. But sometimes you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Don't forget to stay behind and watch the mid-scene and post-scene credits. I don't know how many people left the theater before watching these credit scenes. Overall, despite listing the issues I had with it, I really did enjoy Superman 2025. I give it an 8 out of 10. I recommend watching it in theaters the way it should be. I hope you enjoyed my video. Please hit that subscribe button in the description below and subscribe to SkylarTube HD. And leave a comment letting me know what you think. See you guys next time. Bye.